Welcome to another episode of the Memcyco FM show. Today, we're diving deep into a truly critical and rapidly evolving area of cybersecurity. We're looking at how we effectively protect consumer logins from credential harvesting in this, incredibly sophisticated threat landscape we face.
It's a huge issue.
It really is. I mean, it's an issue that precedes so many devastating account takeovers and, broader fraud incidents. And it challenges even our most robust defenses because attackers are just so good at meticulously cloning sites, making those stolen credentials look completely legitimate.
Exactly. Looks real, feels real.
Precisely. So, our central question for today's debate is this. To what extent can established zero trust principles, which have traditionally proven so effective, within enterprise networks, can they really be adapted and applied effectively to secure these external-facing consumer login flows against highly sophisticated credential harvesting attacks?
That's the core of it.
Right. And I'll be making the case that adapting these zero trust principles isn't just viable, it's actually the essential next frontier for robust scam defense. It's about transforming the login page itself into a powerful, proactive checkpoint.
Okay. And I'll be coming at this from, perhaps a slightly more cautious perspective. While the mindset of zero trust is undoubtedly valuable, conceptually appealing even, I'm going to argue that its direct application to consumer scenarios faces some pretty significant inherent challenges. It leaves some crucial gaps. And this means it requires more than just mere adaptation. It really demands novel, specialized approaches to truly close those security deficiencies. It's not quite a simple lift and shift from the enterprise world, and we need to really unpack why that is.
Okay, I understand that perspective, and it's a valid concern, absolutely. However, I believe the core tenets of zero trust, that idea of continuous verification, always assuming a breach is possible, and, crucially, never implicitly trusting anything, these are perfectly transferable, and frankly, they're necessary for consumer login security today. Think of it this way. By treating the login page as the new perimeter, we're transforming it from just a vulnerable entry point into what I'd call a live checkpoint.
A live checkpoint, okay.
Exactly. What does that mean in practice? Well, it means constant real-time security checks before and during access. We can implement continuous verification of sessions, for instance, to spot unusual behaviors like near simultaneous logins from, vastly different geographical locations, or maybe suspicious referral sources that might betray a credential relay attempt where an attacker captures credentials and tries to use them almost instantly.
Right, the immediate replay.
Exactly. We can also apply adaptive friction. This means extra security checks only surface when we detect anomalies, like, say, impossible travel. A user appears to log in from New York, then 5 minutes later from Tokyo, that kind of thing. This brilliantly balances enhanced security with a smooth user experience, which is key. And crucially, the assume breach principle is operationalized through mechanisms like decoy credential injection.
The fake credentials.
Essentially, yes. Planting fake but believable login details. If these decoys are harvested, they immediately render the attacker's haul worthless. It effectively flips their playbook, and never trust, always verify empowers customers directly with tangible, real-time trust signals like red alerts on suspicious pages or authenticity watermarks, allowing them to confirm they're on a genuine site. This comprehensive application allows us to stop scams right at their initial entry point, before they even get a foothold.
That's a very compelling vision, I'll grant you that. And the theoretical appeal of turning a login page into this live checkpoint is certainly clear. However, I'm still not entirely convinced it's such a direct transfer from the enterprise world. Classic zero trust frameworks, as we know, were fundamentally designed for internal enterprise systems. And quite frankly, they inherently leave significant gaps when you put them up against the unique, almost chaotic terrain of consumer scams.
Such as?
Well, consider the trusted device fallacy, for instance. Inside an enterprise, device trust works reasonably well because you have managed, known devices, inventories, MDM policies. But consumers? They hop between personal phones, work laptops, shared computers, public Wi-Fi, different browsers, apps. It's constantly changing.
It's a much more fluid environment, sure.
Exactly. And this fluidity allows attackers to potentially replay logins from seemingly legitimate, yet actually compromised, devices that a traditional zero-trust model focused on known assets wouldn't necessarily flag as suspicious. It's a scenario traditional zero-trust simply wasn't built to prioritize in the same way. Then there's the significant phishing URL blind spot. Enterprise zero-trust inherently assumes the login is occurring on a genuine controlled system endpoint.
Okay.
Phishing sites, by their very nature, bypass this fundamental assumption entirely. They harvest credentials outside the enterprise's perimeter, often before the user even reaches the real login page. Now, this isn't just a minor oversight, it's a fundamental limitation. These aren't just issues that require borrowing principles, they demand a significant reevaluation of how those principles actually manifest in a chaotic external environment. Especially when you factor in legacy systems and the incredibly challenging task of real-time detection for live phishing URLs. That's a tough nut to crack.
You've laid out some very real distinctions in the operational environment, and I absolutely agree the consumer landscape is different. But I'd argue the underlying zero-trust principles do travel exceptionally well, and we're seeing practical, effective implementations of them right now. The source material actually details practical manifestations like credential relay detection and unknown device login detection. Both are specifically designed to block the reuse of stolen credentials, even across various devices, addressing that fluidity you mentioned. We're also seeing suspicious login pattern detection that surfaces anomalies like impossible travel, as I mentioned, or even potential man-in-the-middle behaviors, where an attacker might be intercepting communication. Furthermore, mechanisms like SEO poisoning defense are being used to actively undercut fake sites before they can even draw significant traffic, disrupting the attack chain at an even earlier stage. These aren't just theoretical aspirations, they are direct, actionable manifestations of continuous verification and assumed breach. They show that these principles are not just viable, but highly effective in disrupting the attack chain in real time, right within the consumer context. They're genuinely making the login page a point of defense.
I understand your point that these are powerful security measures, and I definitely agree these specific detections are valuable additions. But I would push back a bit on the idea that they're mere adaptations. Many of these, particularly things like browser-level protections and in-session detection, they feel like they represent entirely new security mechanisms rather than simply retooling existing enterprise zero-trust components.
How so?
Well, you highlighted earlier that classic zero-trust frameworks weren't built to spot live phishing URLs or handle the fluid nature of consumer devices. And that's precisely where my argument lies. The need for these browser-level and in-session protections, things operating closer to the user regardless of the network, highlights that traditional enterprise zero-trust can't simply be extended by, changing a few settings on the firewall or the VPN concentrator. It requires fundamentally different detection and intervention points operating outside the traditional network perimeter entirely.
Okay, I see the distinction you're making.
So this implies a need for truly novel, purpose-built solutions to fill these critical gaps, rather than just applying a pre-existing enterprise model that, let's face it, wasn't designed for this specific battleground. It's an evolution, yes, absolutely, but a pretty significant one. It requires new thinking about where and how we apply security in the consumer journey.
While I respect your point about the novelty of some of these solutions, I'd argue their underlying philosophy is pure zero trust, continuous verification, no implicit trust, verify explicitly. And speaking of challenges, that brings us neatly to the crucial balance between robust security and a positive customer experience, doesn't it? This is often the tightrope we walk in consumer security.
Always.
The source material clearly states that customer experience, a key concern for any CISO, is addressed through adaptive friction. This is a really smart approach where additional checks, maybe an MFA prompt or a CAPTCHA, only surface when anomalies actually appear. This ensures the vast majority of legitimate users experience a seamless, uninterrupted login flow. This intelligent application of friction delivers enhanced security without overburdening customers, which is absolutely critical for successful consumer-facing services.
In theory, yes.
And moreover, we're seeing exciting future trends like phishing-resistant authentication. Think FIDO2 and WebAuthn, which use cryptographic keys instead of traditional passwords. These technologies promise to drastically reduce credential theft risk without adding any user friction at all, which is huge. Combine that with adaptive security policies that ensure login flows continuously reflect the zero-trust principle of verification. Well, this proactive approach truly enhances security without compromising those critical customer journeys. It's about being smart, not just adding roadblocks.
That's a compelling argument for adaptive friction in theory, and it's certainly a crucial concept we need. However, its practical implementation in these really diverse consumer environments, often involving, let's be honest, legacy systems and numerous third-party integrations not originally designed with zero trust in mind, that presents significant hurdles.
Like what specifically?
Well, imagine a large bank or retailer with millions of external users. They're all on different devices, operating systems, network conditions, browser versions. The risk of adding too many checkpoints, even adaptive ones, and inadvertently causing legitimate users to abandon the process or worse, flood the help desk, is a constant nagging concern for CSOs. It's a far, far harder balance to achieve than in a controlled internal enterprise environment with standardized devices and applications. The practical operationalization of adaptive friction on that kind of scale without negatively impacting legitimate customer journeys remains a truly complex ongoing challenge, especially when you also need to integrate real-time phishing detection, which adds another layer of real-time decision-making to the whole system. The holy grail of seamless security is definitely something we're all striving for, but getting there in the consumer space, it's still a mountain to climb.
It absolutely is a complex problem, and the operational challenges are real, no doubt about it. But let's maybe zoom out for a moment and look at the broader implications here. Extending zero trust principles to customer logins actually offers profound unifying benefits across security and fraud teams. It fosters what we can call an identity fraud convergence.
Convergence is a powerful idea, yes.
It is. SOC, Security Operations Center teams, for instance, gain crucial in-session visibility. That means they can see and analyze user behavior and potential threats during an active session, not just after the fact. That's the very essence of continuous verification. This enables them to react to threats in real time, moving beyond just post-incident analysis. Fraud and risk teams directly benefit from that decoy credential injection we talked about earlier. That embodies the assume breach principle and immediately renders stolen data useless the moment it's harvested.
Nullifying the value.
Precisely. And digital business teams, the ones responsible for customer experience, they can provide those tangible trust signals like red alerts or authenticity watermarks we mentioned. That translates never trust, always verify into something the customer can actually see and use. This unified approach transforms what are often siloed security efforts into a cohesive, proactive defense strategy that benefits the entire organization from the CISO right down to the end user. It feels like a win-win for security and business.
While the concept of convergence and the potential benefits for different teams are certainly compelling, I think we have to be realistic about the undertaking. Achieving this kind of deep integration across traditionally separate security and fraud departments, especially when dealing with these new browser-level protections and external threat vectors we've discussed, is a significant organizational and technical challenge.
Integration is never easy.
No, it isn't. The complexity of integrating these novel in-session detections and these decoy credential injection mechanisms into existing security operations centers, into existing fraud workflows, particularly when facing limitations with legacy platforms, that should not be underestimated. The idea that the login page becomes not a point of compromise, but the place where scams are stopped, it's an incredibly aspirational goal, and a great one, don't get me wrong, but it demands substantial investment and really overcoming these inherent integration complexities that go far beyond simply deciding to apply a set of principles. It requires a fundamental re-architecture in many cases, I suspect.
It's clear from our discussion today that zero trust principles, which were once so transformative for enterprise security, are indeed being successfully adapted, I believe, to confront the critical challenge of credential harvesting right at the consumer login. This approach empowers security, fraud, and digital business teams with sophisticated tools for continuous verification, for assuming breach, and for providing transparent trust signals, ultimately turning that login page into a much more powerful defense mechanism.
And while I agree the intellectual framework of zero trust provides a vital lens, a really important way to view consumer login security, its effective implementation absolutely requires a clear-eyed recognition of the unique gaps and challenges that fundamentally differentiate the consumer landscape from internal networks. Overcoming issues like the trusted device fallacy, the phishing URL blind spot, and that delicate balance of customer experience concerns, this necessitates innovative, real-time solutions that truly extend beyond classic zero-trust frameworks to safeguard users comprehensively.
What's really evident from our engaging discussion, though, is the undeniable urgency of advanced defenses against credential harvesting. Both of us certainly underscore that the principles of continuous verification and a skeptical, never implicitly trust approach are absolutely fundamental in this ongoing fight.
Indeed, and the discussion truly illuminates that the future of securing consumer logins lies in deeply understanding both the power of zero-trust thinking and the specific, often sophisticated solutions required to make it practical and effective in this unique and, frankly, challenging domain. It's not one or the other, it's both.
Absolutely. And for anyone listening who's looking to explore practical ways these advanced zero trust principles can help protect your own customer logins, we encourage you to learn more about solutions like Memcyco. It's truly fascinating to see how these concepts are being put into action effectively today. Consider booking a demo, perhaps, to see how these ideas can work for your organization.